Why is BTS's music video of Dynamite awesome? Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Let's check it out. Okay, so really interesting. We see them in these pastels, right? Pastel sky behind them, really idyllic, kind of Easter Bunny-esque, almost, right? And then we have this gesture that zooms in, wow. And that kind of gives it a little bit of edge to it. And then you'll notice we jump out of pastels into darker, saturated colors, no longer idyllic, kind of messy room type of feeling, right? That abrupt change gives us a lot of meaning and captures our attention right at the beginning because there's sharp contrast. And it also sets up the difference between an idyllic world and the real world. And so let's see what else we got.
Watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea and I'll get my ping pong. This is getting heavy, can't hear the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beach chain like money. This go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow up. Hey, so let's go.
Okay, so it's the first time we get the whole group together except for the very beginning, right? It's person, person, person. Even though we're hearing voices in the background, what does that communicate to you? So we get first shot. That's kind of that pastel color group shot. Then we get realistic kind of room view. And then we go back to kind of idyllic white, pastel. Even the hair colors are more pastel and it's a little more mute and idyllic. And then we get to this shot here where we ended, where he's with a donut and the whole group is over there watching, judging, I don't know, right? So absolutely fascinating, really fun. So as we're watching here, is this something you can relate to? If so, why? Because we could put a lot of different stories and possible meanings behind what we're seeing, right? A ton. What's crucial from the artistic standpoint is that they had a clear vision and that the logic is consistent. And so that the visual logic is consistent, so that there is a pattern that matches everyday life in real life, which allows us to superimpose or put on or try to understand it in a way that feels believable, rather than our subconscious automatically putting in all this as a performance thing. It feels like a real story moment, right? And it's really fun, even though the dancing and all that fun stuff, because that's just a part of their natural everyday world anyways, I would imagine. But how many people do, just when they're all by themselves, dance and do all kinds of fun stuff? I hope you do. If not, go home, turn on some music and dance. Let's see what we got.
In the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd.
You'll notice when we're singing in the chorus and singing some of this stuff, it kind of has a sound quality similar to later Michael Jackson, right? And I'm not trying to say they sound exactly the same, but it's that kind of really high, speech-like, consistent airflow, really ultra pop sound. And then we cut back to this really speech-like, rap-esque type of sound. That's really important, because if it just stayed in this one place, it wouldn't give us a lot of contrast. It'd start feeling really repetitive and kind of boring and formulaic, right? But because it has so much contrast, both visually and what we're hearing, really helpful. Something to point out, though, is though even there's the contrast, we're going from this kind of high melody pop sound to this lower rap-like sound that's very speech-like. It still has a similar placement, same shape here back in the mouth here with that oropharynx. It's that ass shape, which again gives us variety but helps it live in the same world. Really important.
One
So something we've seen in their past videos and that we're starting to see here is we have this really sharp contrast at the beginning, pastels with really saturated other colors following the scene after, and then they start blending them, right? So we start seeing these two very different worlds start coming to a resolution and come together. That's a really strong storytelling method of being able to take these very different worlds and show the audience the process of how they come to resolution, how they come together and start functioning in the same place, same field, which is really, really interesting. Okay, so what's interesting is, as I'm watching through this, they seem to be reaching out to as many different potential target audiences in what they're communicating here as possible. They're getting a wide variety of generations, donut shops that we can relate with, dancing, we can relate with a messy bedroom, we can relate with all kinds of stuff, right? Being on a basketball court. Those are really different kind of groups of people that we might imagine being out there of potential audience members. They're being really smart in their storytelling and including a little bit of something for everyone. So everyone feels connected. It's like, oh yeah, I can relate, right? Pretty smart for a group that is trying to really play to a huge, huge fan base and world audience. Pretty smart. So one other thing that's really interesting here that they do all the time is they dress in a way that makes them stand out and be unique, but also the color palette and the style all work together as one group too, right? So they got some great designers helping them out here. So one of the things that you can do if you're trying to get a whole group working together is to first come up with a color palette that matches the song. So you might say, what? So think about it. Think if I was listening to this music and I was just seeing like an audio visualizer go or something else, right? What are the colors that I would expect to come out that would match the sound of this music? And we hear that a bunch with people with like synesthesia type of things where they hear a note and their mind sees a color or something like that, right? We've heard stories of this type of thing. But we relate our different senses to each other so we can hear a type of sound and it just feels blue or purple to us, right? It kind of has a nighttime feel to it. Or it's really happy and it kind of has this gold or pastels or something like that. If you're trying to coordinate a group, start with the color palette that you think matches the song and then either choose for them or have them choose for themselves things that pull from that color palette. Then start playing around with what you can do to then throw accents on, right? So really love always how coherent the colors and how they're coordinating what they're doing goes between the set, their costumes, the sound of the song, and their movements. You'll notice their movements change too, and it all works together towards the same storytelling. And I think, I say this every time I think I do one of their videos, is one of the things that is so captivating is that the entire experience works together in such a cohesive, consistent way to communicate what they're trying to say. Every single element and every single moment contributes to the story that they're trying to communicate. And it's just makes it so captivating, so interesting to watch and to see what's going on. Love it. I'm eating stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Notice how we're kind of back to pastels. The color of his sound, the way he's singing was breathier, softer, wispier. It kind of matches, right? Crazy. Shining through the city with a little fucking soul. So light it up like dynamite. This is Okay, so what are the things that you can start playing with? If you're trying to get this Michael Jackson sound or this pop sound, so it sounds like it's super smooth and high and speech-like, and it's got this kind of bite to it, but it's also warm, and it's got all these different sound qualities to it, right? But really, it's just a super smooth, consistent sound, where it just sounds easy, but really got some bite in it, right? Well, what you can practice doing is talking up there, and imagine that as you're talking, each phrase is one long word. Try to connect everything together like you're going up there and you're talking through it as all one long sentence all the way put together. And you just go up and down, connecting it all together so it's one long run-on word for each phrase. You're going to notice that helps your brain stop chunking it up into individual words and starts connecting it together so it sounds and feels consistent and smooth, and like you're able to just ride that air all the way through. So the other thing that I want to point out is we started in the visual world that we ended in. We have two options. Either it's to kind of come in a circle and gather all this new information so that when we arrive at the end, we have a different way of looking at the same kind of visual world, or we transfer from one visual world to the next. In this case, it's kind of the cyclical quality, right? That kind of gives a sense of resolution, of completion, where the other one kind of has this one of continuing process where we started part of the process and either we finished it or we came to a point of resolution or stopping that it might continue past there. Has more linear quality. Just have different feels, different qualities to it. This song lends to this really well because it has kind of a cyclical feel to how it's organized and structured, and their message kind of just keeps spiraling around, giving us more information, more thoughts, more ideas, but keeps coming back to the same final kind of message, right? So works really well visually with what the music's doing. Again, the more we can match our visual world with what the words are saying and the music's calling for and our body language, the more compelling it's going to be, as long as we're doing it in a way that's believable, easy to understand, or clear, and has a lot of variety. So next time you watch a performance, think, do I like it? And if so, it's probably because they're doing these three things really well. Could it be even better? If so, it's probably because one of these things isn't working as well as it could. And here, I thought it was pretty believable. They just seem super genuine, and like, if I met them on the street and they start busting out and dance, they just make it seem like it's a natural, organic part of their everyday life. So I'll believe it that in this world, that's just what they do. And it's also believable in this sense because they kind of go back and forth between reality and this dream world, right? They kind of, these pastels, and we get a little bit of animation stuff going on there at the end and different things like that. So it's believable because the real world is more like the real world, and this play kind of dreamlike place is really dreamlike in every aspect. So they're being consistent. So it's believable. Clear, we can understand the words. They're being clear with what they're saying, and each movement is crisp and clear, and the intention comes across without any hesitation, any self-judgment. It's just very genuine and direct, and a lot of variety, both visually, like we talked about, and in the music. So there's a reason why it's awesome. It meets these three qualities, and their singing seems like it's super sustainable, easy, comfortable, happy. Good news. Let me help you find your voice. Whether it's as a singer or as a performer on stage or with your entire group, let me help you sing easier and perform in a consistent way that's really genuine and authentic and true to who you are. You can book a time with me at foundyourvoice.com, or you can send me a short video or audio clip at wizio.com. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Comment down below with what else you want me to react to and watch and what you thought made this so awesome. See you next time.